From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
How y'all are? Cage Rob hanging out with you. Mr. John's kind of under weather, so we're going to take it for him today. And we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Bill McDonald. Hey, Bill, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Rob. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Man, you've been around. Y'all think you've been around the industry more than I have. So that's been what, about 2 or 3 years, I'd say.
Yeah, or maybe 4.
Yep. Now, we was kind of talking before the show, and actually, I rode a Bill one time at the FLW Cumberland in 2017. My boater Chase, his motor blew up, so Bill was gracious enough and come by and pick me up and had 2 sacks of fish weighed in. So I appreciate that, Bill. That was a nice gesture. You come by and out of your way to help us out. So that was
I'll
pretty
never
good
leave
day.
anybody stranded. Never have and never
No.
will. You got to do what's right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Chase said, I know somebody call and come by. There ain't no doubt. He said if I have to call and get bailed out of jail or something, I'm calling Bill. So that's what he did. But for the few folks that don't know you, you want to just kind of say how you started and kind of a little bit of your history. I know you've been around a little bit. So if you want to go into that real quick, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm from Indiana here, and like I said, I grew up, years ago. My grandparents from Tennessee grew up fishing farm ponds, whatnot, and my mom and dad, wherever Field and Stream or Outdoor Life would write articles about, that's where we took a vacation to. My dad liked to fish and hunt, so we kind of traveled as kids, going different places. Of course, we bank fished and hired a guide here and there, and then I just started fishing local tournaments, Federation, and the Redmans, and just come from there and just kept moving up the ranks. I guess the best way to say it. And 99, I decided, hey, I'm going to jump in fishing Ever Start. So jumped in one of those at Kentucky Lake and won the first one I ever fished. And if I would have quit then, I could have said I made money in this industry, but I got suckered in, and here I am.
Yep.
I'm still doing it. So very blessed to be doing what we're doing. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I said the people you meet and connections you get, it's you can't put a price on it. I've met so many
No.
great folks and got friends, a lot of them. So can't beat that. But I said, and travel over the country, see these gorgeous lakes, beautiful areas. It's kind of a blessing and a curse, as you say.
Exactly. But,
Yep.
like I said, we've been in the industry. I got a brother that's, he's a national sales manager now for Ranger Boats at White River Marine.
Cool.
And, I was at Ranger for a good number of years and have moved over to Bass Cat now. So, like I said, it's kind of been a family deal. We both have been in the industry, basically our whole lives. So it's been a good deal.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I said the connections, the people you meet and get to be friends with, and it's unreal, man. That's one thing about this industry. And it's funny, me and some of my friends talking said this industry's big, but it's kind of tight and close knit at the same time.
Well, I tell you, I help a couple companies with sponsors and whatnot, or, they call me to check on people if they're worthy or not. And I said, this industry is kind of funny. I can make about 3 or 4 phone calls and find out something about anybody that's in the industry. If those 3 or 4 people don't know, maybe it's best not to even mess with them. So
Oh,
like you said,
absolutely.
it is a small, close knit industry.
Oh yeah, especially like I said, when I go to shows or whatever, it's like I see a bunch of you see the same people almost at every show, and it's like, hey, there's so and so, and but it's cool. It's a pretty cool deal. But I said, and I talk to high schoolers, and I say, hey, I mean, being a pro's nice and all, but if you really want to make it, get into business side and marketing side. I mean, that's where to go on this stuff.
That's 100% right.
Oh yeah,
I talk to a lot of high schools and colleges, and I tell all the kids, there's a whole lot to do in this industry other than just fish. I mean, if you
absolutely.
want to fish, you got to be good at marketing and sales too, because the old days of just going out and catching fish and getting sponsorship, those days are gone.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to be able to promote, you got to be able to sell, you got to be able to sell yourself, and you got to be able to do the social media side of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, from when you first started to now, the changes you've seen, especially social media and the marketing. And besides the forward facing sonar, what's some of the other big changes you've seen along the way?
I mean, the biggest change, I mean, so of course, like I said, forward facing is big, but we started with flashers.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've seen the whole evolution in the on the electronic side of it, but just even the trolling motors. The old 24-volt trolling motors you had. Now you got, you had to have spot lock. And so now you moved up to that side of the game, and just the whole evolution of how everything's changed. And it's kind of funny. You talk to some of these kids out there, and I said, "Man, I got to get a 20-foot boat so I can go fish." Like, dude, we had 18 footers with 150 and fished all over
Forever.
the country. You don't have to have a 20-foot boat, but if they don't have a 20-foot boat, they don't want to even do it. So
Oh,
we're
no.
kind of crazy. And then the biggest change has been, the social media side of it. I think how important that is. And there's some great fishermen that have not embraced it and have lost sponsorship and kind of gone to the wayside. Nothing to do with their fishing ability, but just the other side of the coin on that social media and marketing sides.
Oh, absolutely.
Got to have it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it sells. I mean, he gets your products recognition and brand awareness. I mean, it does make a difference. It's night and day.
Yeah. So, it's still a good industry, the fishing side. You see lakes come and go. We talked a little bit earlier about Kentucky Lake. I remember, I date myself, early 90s, Kentucky Lake was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And then they killed all the grass. And then it went to being a disastrous place. One of them 12 to 15-pound places to win instead of 20, 25.
Right.
Then it came back, and we seen the highlights of it just before the Asian deal. The cart come in,
Yep.
and we watched it totally decline. Now it's on the rise again. So, and that happens to a lot of lakes all over the country. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was in Tennessee at a little bit north of Chickamauga, and I remember when they killed the grass in the '90s. How long it took to get back. I mean, it was a great fishery, and they killed the grass. Like I said, it went downhill. Grass come back and started back up, and it's where it is now. So it's
sure.
kind of kind of ebb and flow. So
Yeah, I don't know if I can say, well, let's go ahead and say it. You're going to think it, you better say it, right? I
yeah.
mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
just
Go
like
ahead, man.
going to New York and stuff up there, as bad as what everybody thinks New York is, on one realm of things, they've done a great job of not allowing you to ever spray the grass up there.
Yeah.
And those lakes, are phenomenal to fish.
Yeah.
And they got fish. And a lot of it's because of that grass.
Oh,
And I wish
absolutely.
everybody would take a playbook out of theirs, how good that grass is and how good it is for the fishery. So,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you give home and cover for the bait fish and the minnows and crawfish, and you get cover for the big fish. So it just helps all the way around. Helps the lake all the way around.
yep.
Yep. But
So,
go but going back over your history, what do you think? I mean, all of you, I know you've probably had what 20, 30 different kind of boats. If you had to go pick one boat out of all the ones you've been in, what do you think you'd stick with today if you had the choice?
I ran a Ranger for 30 years. So I probably had 27, 28, 29 Ranger boats in that 30 years. And then I went to Bass Cat.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, I really like the Bass Cat boat.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I
they
ain't
make a
saying
great.
because I'm there, but dude, they are fast.
Oh yeah.
And, I've always kind of been a speed freak to a certain deal, but the fishability of them too. I mean, both of those two companies, I'd say those two companies have made the best quality boats from the beginning, and they made all the other boat manufacturers step their game up. Everybody makes a good boat now.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for those two companies, and it's funny because they're only about 10 miles apart
Yep.
from each other where they're made at. But I think the quality that those two companies, whether it was Forrest Wood or if it was Rick Pierce and his dad, the quality they instilled in making the product made everybody else up their game.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that's why we've got the boats that we have out there today.
Yeah, they wasn't afraid to innovate and try new things. I agree with on Bass Cat. I was at I think a wild card. It was a couple years ago on Wheeler Lake, and it got really rough. It was 4 or 5 foot swells, and I had a guy had an older Bass Cat. I think it's like a mid 90s, and this was 2018, 19 anyway. That boat, perfect, rode the waves out, and he knew how to drive too. But man, that thing was
Sure.
just incredible.
They cut right through the waves,
Yeah, that's what it did. It was unreal.
and it's fun to run an 80-mile-an-hour boat too. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that either. So,
I like it. Somebody asked me one day, they said, "How come you run a 250?" And I said, "Because they won't let us run 300s."
yeah,
In other words, I'd run a bigger motor. So
yeah, that 250s on that boat is cooking.
it keeps
Ain't no
it keeps
doubt.
it going just fine.
Absolutely. Now, we usually ask our guests, now, what is, like, if you go to the lake, what is your number one confidence? What do you, if you go to the lake you've never been on, haven't practiced, what are you going to start out with? What is your confidence bait?
I mean, used to I'd say a jig. I never
Yep.
went anywhere without a jig, and I still got a jig on in a boat. But the vibrating jig, Thunder Cricket's what I throw the most of on a Strike King deal. But that Thunder Cricket, you can cover some water. That and a Carolina rig. I mean, those are two of my go-tos because I can take that Carolina rig with a tungsten weight on it, and I can cover water quick, and I can feel everything that's there. So it helps me to figure out there's shell beds, there's rock, or whatever's there, and I can cover some water pretty quick with that. And then if I need to slow down, then I can slow down too. But those are probably two of the baits, and I mean everything's seasonal condition,
Yeah.
but those are the two things that I'll always have tied on. I don't care if I'm in New York, if I'm in the Great Lakes, or if I'm in Florida, wherever, I'll have those baits tied on.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those. I've had some older gentlemen I've fished with on the back of the boat, and I had some other stuff, and they had that old Carolina rig, and boy, they schooled me. They didn't they done schooled me. So, but definitely that's timeless bait right there.
We did a media event a couple of years ago up in Michigan, and you go out and, of course, take outdoor riders out for a few hours, come in, you trade riders. And I was doing it with Mark Zona was up there with us. I come in and I had first period, I think I had three smallmouth in it, and I had two fives and a six. And he's like, "Dude, how'd you catch them?" I go, "You don't want to know, Mark." And he goes, "No, I do." He said, "Tell me, how'd you catch them?" I said, "You don't want to know." He goes, "Are you throwing that stupid Carolina rig?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "I don't want to know. I don't even
He
want
d-
to know. I hate that thing." I said, "Okay, go out there and keep throwing your little weenie worm out there and let me know how that works out for you." So, of course, we
oh man, that's
jab each other
classic.
back and forwards on that quite a bit. But
Oh yeah, Mark's a great guy. I've met him. We had a show this summer and met him, and man, he's just like he is on TV, man. Great guy, just laid back, but he's a pretty cool guy. But that's funny. He already knew what you was throwing. He didn't want
I mean,
to say.
but see, back like I said, when we started fishing Indiana, Mark was from India, northern Indiana, Michigan area, and he worked for more boats. He was a boat salesman for Ranger Boats
Huh.
and fished. So I
Yep.
fished around Mark and against Mark for quite a while. And then there about 2000 or 2001, he come out, started fishing some of the Everstarts in, and he kind of dominated during that time. And then that's when he made the switch on over and went to bass and started all that over there. So, but yeah, I've known Mark for a long, long time.
Yeah, he definitely made his mark, and I mean, he made that job at Bass his, and it's not gonna be one never one like him. He really made his own mark. I give him credit.
Yeah, they'll put somebody else at that desk, but they'll never fill those shoes.
No, somebody have to. Yeah, some really big shoes to fill for sure. But always did a great job.
Yep, he's a class act.
Yep. And we talked a little bit before the show about kind of where you were going to fish next year. And I know we was talking about Toyotas, but man, Toyotas, they're still the best bang for your buck. If you're a guy kind of between the BFLs and the opens or kind of in the middle, man, that Toyota tournament is just the best bang for your buck right there. And that championship, I mean, that's a game changer.
You got $200,000 championship. I mean, if you want to cut your teeth and figure out where you stack up, the Opens and the Toyotas are the place to go next. And like this year, I'm going to fish that one division. I told you the Division Two of the Opens, and
Right?
then I'm going to fish one of the divisions of the Toyotas. I haven't fished them in, God, I don't know. It's been a long time since I fished a whole division of the Toyotas, but when I was fishing FLW, we'd jump in and fish some of them here and there and back and forwards. But I decided, what the heck, I'm going to go have fun this year and go fish some of the things I want to fish. And I love Lake of the Ozarks. And of course, I've got a sweet spot for Kentucky Lake too. So I got the Toyotas. You got two there on Lake of the Ozarks in that Plains division, and one on Kentucky Lake. And then got a championship at Grand Lake, which I don't have any problems fishing Grand Lake either. I kind of like that place over there. So, but $200,000 championship. Yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice and see if I can't go in there and play a little bit.
Oh, I
The
don't
bad
blame you.
thing about it is that's prime deer season. I argue
Oh,
with them every time I've ever fished it. Like, you guys change this. First week of November, I need to be sitting in a tree, not
yeah.
sitting in front of a boat. So,
Yeah, but that check kind of, yeah, that check is pretty good looking.
oh yeah, and it pays down pretty good too.
Oh yeah, yeah, they do. I've fished several of them as a co, and man, I mean, there's some hammers. There's absolute hammers. I said they're in the opens. I mean, you can get elite guys that fish the Bass Pro Tour. I mean, it's quite the mix. But you get somebody in Toyota, it's a little bit of an investment. So you got somebody's pretty serious. So
I always said it. You got the best of the best at a Toyota because you get, like you said, you'll get a BPT guy, or you get a tour guy, or you get an elite guy that it doesn't conflict. He'll be fishing them. Then you get your full-time Toyota guys that's wanting to come up traveling. That's
yep.
doing it. Then you get every tough local angler that's from that area to come fish against you. And I mean, that's when you know that you got to pull your shoes up and tie them up real tight when you fish those things.
Oh yeah, and don't miss a fish. If you get a fish, you better bring him to the boat, or you're gonna be. You miss one fish, I'd say you probably drop what 15, 20 places or more because it's
At
tight.
least I remember, like I said, that first one I won. It was on our final day. I try to remember the guys. I had Andy Morgan was in the finals.
Ooh.
Terry Bolton was in the
Yep.
finals. Ray Bargy, I think, made the final day. Hackney made it. Mark Pack made it.
Man.
So I mean, it was like the who's who of the hammers were in that, and here I was, just some little silly guy from Indiana, jumped in there to try to mix it up with those guys.
Yeah, you had a murderer's row right there back in that day.
It's murderers row, especially when you see Andy in there. You're like, that gone. That's
Wow.
back because a year or two before that, Andy had set the all-time record in a division. I think he won 5 tournaments, 5 BFLs, and finished second in the other one, or as Red Man.
Right.
But still, I mean, Andy was the hammer of the hammers, and of course Terry Bolton living on the lake, and
Yep.
some of them other guys there too. So
Yep.
back in the
It's
good old
amazing.
days.
Oh yeah, and they're still around. And how many AOIs did Andy Morgan win in FLW? I can't remember. It's like seemed like every year he was winning it.
He won 2 or 3 right there, real close together.
Yep.
So yeah, you never want to get in the finals with Andy.
No, no.
He's just a stone cold killer. Is all he is. Whether he's
He
got
is.
a bow in his hand or a duck gun or fishing pole.
Oh yeah, he's and consistent. I mean, that guy's just consistent. I mean, but it's nice to see him and of course Bolton around. There's still a bunch of the old guys still around. It's good to see them.
Yep.
But
Yeah, like I said, I still enjoy doing it. Still enjoy competing against them. And yeah, that's how you see where you measure up at too.
oh, absolutely. And it's funny. Like I said, you'll have one of those guys just beat the brakes off of you, and then afterwards they're just cheerful. I mean, you talk to them, they don't brag or nothing, and just down to earth as they can be. So
Yeah. Or the same way, if you go give them a dosing, Yeah, they're not mad at you. They come up and shake your hand, congratulate you, and go on. And yeah, that's another thing I try to tell all these young guys. You go to a tournament, you get your brains beat out. Don't get in that truck and haul out of that parking lot. Stick around.
Mm,
Shake that guy's hand at one. Talk to him. Don't ask him where he caught his fish. Ask him how they caught them.
yeah.
Go learn from that guy. You know, put it down your memory bank and go back out. And there'll be another one next week. Go do it again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I said being a co-angler. I mean, I've learned a little bit from everyone I fish with. Good and bad. But I
Sure.
said it like after the first few I fished, I was like, well, they're throwing kind of same things I've been throwing. It's like they just know where the fish is going to be and how they like it. So they figure it out real quick.
Well, it's just little bitty subtle things are what makes a difference. Everybody used to, you think, yeah, that somebody had a secret bait or they had a secret spot. There were some secret spots till we got GPSs and lake
Yep.
maps. But now, and there's nothing that you can't find. I
No,
mean,
it's
everybody finds it. Because I mean, years ago, Kentucky Lake, I had stuff that nobody messed with.
yep.
Now, shoot, you can go there on the first time. All you gotta do is look at a map, and you can see what's there.
Yep.
It ain't no more going out there and throwing out a dozen buoy markers, idling back and forwards all day, trying to hold a paper map and turn it and figure out where you're at. So, but hey, you learn a lot that way.
Oh yeah. And we got a quick comment here. Mr. Brent Aaron Shore says Bill is the secret. There you go.
Thank you, Brent.
Hey, Brent, I agree with you. It's all up there. So I'd agree with that. So you can't
And you
replace
got to
hard
have a
work.
good act. You got to have a
Yep.
good AccuCall system too to make sure you're calling out the right fish.
Oh yeah. Ounce like a Toyota, like I said, ounce can jump you up 8, 10 places sometimes. And
Exactly.
but he says Brent Aaron Shore says, I think he meant to say love you, man. He says love you, man. So
Yeah, he can't spell. It's okay.
okay. I just I assumed that's what he meant. So hey, I have the same trouble, man. I can't. My eyes are going, so I have the same thing happen. So it's all good. But over the years, I mean, many tournaments you've been in. I know you've been in the FLWs a lot. Going back, what is? I mean, besides your win, I know that first win you had. I mean, that was probably had you on cloud nine. Besides
Sure.
that, what's like one of the most memorable tournaments you've been in?
I don't know. Finishing second at St. Clair was a good tournament. I finished second to Larry Nixon.
Oh wow,
And the cool thing about that was Larry and I fished the same area for 4 days, and we kind of had an imaginary line. Larry'd fish up to one side of it, I'd fish up to his. And I mean, we're out in the middle of Lake St. Clair. And we'd pull up, we'd talk, laugh, talk. How many you got? I got 20 pounds. What do you think you got, Larry? I got 22, So it was just a good tournament like that. And for 4 days, we helped each other in the mornings put in and just sit there and talk about the whole thing. And that final day, it's whoever caught got the biggest thing because I think we were an ounce apart going into the final day.
oh
And
wow,
then like day two, I had the biggest bag of smallmouth that I've ever weighed in. I had 25 something
wow.
that I weighed in that day in smallmouth. But, I've had bigger days in practice, but that was just a good tournament and, nothing but total respect for Larry and the way we fished. It was just class act. I didn't try to get in his water. He didn't come to my water. It was just the way you're supposed to do it.
Absolutely.
And I've had other tournaments, all of them are kind of special to a certain degree. I had a guy one time at Grand Lake and we had a terrible tournament, but that guy told me, he said, I want to thank you for today. He said, this is the last tournament I'll ever fish.
Oh
And
wow,
I can't remember the boy's name, but he had, I think it was Lou Gehrig's disease. And he said, this is the last one I'll ever get to fish.
wow.
And, that made that tournament special to me,
Absolutely.
you know. So, but they all got good memories. Some of them you definitely want to forget real quick, but and you got to have a short memory on a lot of these tournaments and keep on rolling.
Absolutely. Reminds me of the saying, like the coach says, you're like your quarterback and your last, you threw an interception, they run back for a touchdown, you got to forget it. That's the pass. You got to keep on
Yeah.
going forward. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Tear that rear view mirror off your truck when you get in it before you leave some of them. Don't ever look back.
There you go. Absolutely great point. And got one of my buddies out from South Louisiana, Mr. Barkin Ruger, says, I had it told to me one day by one of my favorite pros. He said, any given day, most of the locals are better than most of the pros, but the pros do it enough to make the changes needed to get on them. I agree with that.
Yep.
I said that. Oh, saying time on the water, you
Can't
can't
beat it.
replace it. No. And like you say, you was talking about the old graphs and the flashers. I remember doing the old paper graphs, looking at the paper, trying to study. I remember those back in the day. That was high tech now.
Oh yeah. That was the best there was at the time.
Oh, it was. It was. That was a lot better than the old flashers. And I remember, was it Fritz? I think he run a flasher for a long, long time, and he knew
He still
it.
runs one.
Yeah, and he could tell what kind of bottom contour it is, if it's rock or soft. But he's got that to science. But that was
Last time I talked to David, I haven't talked to him it's been a year, I guess, since I talked to him. But Nixon moved and sold a bunch of stuff. I
right.
think Fritz bought like 40 of them that Larry still had. Some of them brand new, still in the
Wow.
box. Fritz bought them all,
That
and
that's
he
kind of
runs one. And
surprising, but not surprising.
he still runs one in every boat he has.
Wow. You talk about a throwback old school. That guy's old school throwback.
Yep, no
That's
doubt.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I remember him way back today having 10 rods out on the deck, same crankbait with all the different, you know, pound test lines and trying to get that right. And he'd hit it. He'd figure out one of them and hit it. So
He'd have all
that's,
them posed crankbaits laid out there,
yep.
trying
I
to
still got
figure
some
out which
opposed.
one worked good.
Yeah, I still got some opposed crankbaits. That brings back some good memories. But like I
I
said,
might
and then
have a.
yeah, what's the neat now is the kids, they can go to YouTube and all this, look at fishing. Back when we was coming up, we had the Bassmaster magazine and the TNN network, and that was it. That was the only information we could get.
That was it. You
Yep.
know, these kids today, I mean, they've got everything at their fingertips. I mean, it's just right there for them. And some of these kids, I know that that's all they do. They live on YouTube.
Oh yeah. And then they go out in the lake. I said, hats off to them. That forward facing, they're out there like 7 days a week on it. And I know a couple of guys, young kids locally, that's really good at it. But like they'll fish all season long. In the off season, they'll fish crappie tournaments with the forward facing and get better at it. So I mean, they're like hats off. They're putting the work into it. So
And I've had it since it came out. But my problem always was I use it to find structure.
yeah,
And if I seen fish, that was okay too. But I never used it to chase one fish around
yeah,
and try to catch it like they do. So my deal was just, if I could find that grass line or that extra clump of grass that's out or a rock or a stump, and I'd fish those things where these guys got dedicated just following fish, trying to catch them. And I can do okay on it.
yeah.
I do better focusing on structure than I do trying to do that. But either way, it still works.
Absolutely. Like I said, finding bait, finding a little cut or ditch in there. I mean, yeah, and it's part of timing. I mean, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not, but you know exactly where it's at. So,
Well, I made a cut in Florida a few years ago at Harris Chain, and I'd idled. I knew I could catch some fish on this grass flat, and I had one ditch that ran through it, and you could idle it, and it wouldn't show the ditch, but I could take the forward facing, and you could see about an 8-inch depression, and it wasn't very wide, and there wasn't any grass in that depression. So when you could get lined up and make the right cast, you could catch them right on the edge of that stuff. You could throw it across it and it wouldn't do it. You had to get parallel and come right down the edge to get them to bite it. But, you know, it works and it helps. It's just time on the water. That is the key, you know. And, there's a lot of complaining about forward facing sonar. You know, is it going to kill the industry? No, it's not.
mm,
If they want to ban something, I'm that guy that says, take the GPS away. Most of them kids will never get back to the boat ramp and won't know how to come back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's the biggest thing. And they won't ride by you and punch a waypoint in and come back and sit on top of you.
Yeah.
So, that everything's going to ruin the industry. They say, Alabama rig was going to destroy it. It's not.
No.
Embrace it. Can they do some restrictions? That's up to them. That's not up to me
Yep.
to decide.
Yep.
But, our job is to go fish and, quit all the complaining that everybody's doing out there. So much negativity in the industry. It makes us all look bad.
Oh,
Let's just
absolutely.
go do your job, go fishing. Hey, if you get beat, you got beat. You can blame it on forward facing, you can blame it on whatever you want to. And, so be it. Just go forward, keep it rolling.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, tournaments, you can have a guy fishing deep, guy fishing shallow, and they'll come in with the same weight sometimes. I mean, it's just putting the puzzle together.
Well, and you get guys too. I've noticed some of these, especially on like smallmouth tournaments and stuff. You get a guy that's good in the forward facing. You got a co-angler in the back, but he can't see nothing, and he'll have as big, if not a bigger bag than the guy in the front.
Absolutely.
So just focus on what you're doing and go fishing and go from there, and you'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know several codes. They've kind of got it figured out a little bit. They're starting to kind of figure it out what to do. And the boaters I've been with, I'm in back in the boat, and the boaters will say, "Hey, I'm getting them, 6 to 10 foot." They're really good about telling you. And he can't be seeing every fish, so you got to kind of focus on whatever he's catching that depth, and kind of matching that depth.
Huge, yeah. Now, like I said, I still like it. I'm getting up in the years, but I have no desire to do anything else. So I'm just going to keep on chunking and winding.
Yeah, that's me, man. I mean, you're gonna find them. I mean, it's but you get that tap on the line. You don't know if you got a 1 pounder or 10 pounder. Sometimes, I mean, that's the magic. And then
Yep.
coming out when you launch out in the morning and that fog just kind of coming off the water. That's my favorite time, man. And when y'all launch out, it's that's pretty cool.
Yep. Takeoffs are always a rush, to say the least.
Oh, it is.
And
He-
there's a lot of anticipation. What's the day going to bring? And good Lord already knows what you're going to weigh in. Our job's to be content with it. And
that's
if you
right.
can do that, you're ahead of the game. It's when you're struggling in there trying to be not being content. That's when you usually get screwed up and get messed up in your head. Then.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen some younger guys just spin themselves out. They didn't get bit within the first hour. I say, hey man, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And yeah, a lot of young guys, they get spun out. I say, hey man, if you're not gonna catch them sometimes the first hour or two. I see some guys figure it out in the last hour or two and just whack them. I mean, you gotta keep your head.
Year before, we went to Wheeler.
Yep.
Okay, I don't have a fish in the boat. I take it back. I got one fish. I caught one fish fairly early. Little bitty fish. Co-angler
Yep.
doesn't have any fish. We weigh in at 410, I think it was. At 320, I've got one little fish. He don't
Yep.
have a fish. I said, we're going to go out and fish a ledge. He said, did you catch them there in practice? I said, I never made a cast there in practice, but I said, I don't know what else to do.
Yep.
I drug a Carolina rig out. He had one already tied on. He catches two right off the bat. Then I catch one. Then I catch another one. He catches his third fish, which gives him his limit. Now it's like 10 to 4. We weigh in at 410. And I think I've got four. I throw up there. I'd found a little shell bar with that Carolina rig while we was fishing there. I throw up there and catch my biggest fish of the day. Get in the box. I got a limit now. And he goes, we got to go. I said, we got time for one more cast. I throw up there and catch another one, call out, come running in. I had about a minute to spare, but you know,
Wow.
you never know. We
No,
caught
you
like
don't.
8 or 9 fish right there in the last 40 minutes of the tournament. So
Oh,
you just got to keep
absolutely.
your mind open, and you only need 5 bites a day.
Yep.
So it's just trying to get those 5 right ones.
Oh, absolutely. Get that one or two kickers, and you're in the driver's seat.
And you got to have one kicker fish every day
Oh,
to be in
absolutely.
contention. to be in contention. You really do. And if you can do that, then you got a shot. And if you can luck out and catch two or three, then you can have a big bag in.
Yep. Just make it that final day. Make that final cut. You're still in the game.
Yeah. And that's the day you roll the dice. You
Yep.
don't play conservative on that day.
Mm.
Because okay, like with Larry and I, when we fish together, there's only $80,000 difference between his check and my check. So what do you got to lose?
Yep.
You roll the dice, and
Yep.
like I said, I was the first loser. So, but that's okay.
But you still made a good check. Hey, you still got a good check and brought home a nice check. So
Yeah,
look.
30 grand. Hey,
Yep.
I ain't crying about 30 grand. It's a good payday. Good
Yep.
week's work.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes it's your day. You know how it is. Like a tournament, one day you'll have every bite you'll get to the boat. Next day, if you get half the bites to the boat, same conditions, same lure, and you got two different results. I mean, it makes you scratch your head and say, I don't know what happened.
If it's meant to be, it's going to be. If it's not, hey, you just roll with it and go on.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But well, what's been? I know you've had a lot of co-anglers. You got any good co-angler stories? Good or bad?
Nah, a lot of guys badmouth co-anglers. There is so many guys that's had great tournaments and even won tournaments because of their co-anglers.
Yeah,
They maybe the boater had a plan going into it, but yet as the day when they got there, the pattern had changed, but the co started catching them doing something different.
yep.
And then that boater changed and, got him lined out there a little bit, settled him
Oh,
down. And I've had some co-anglers talk me off the ledge a couple times. Just good coaches in the back.
oh yeah.
And, overall I've had great success with co-anglers, good rapport. I've had a couple that I'd just soon never draw again. But, that's part of life. You're going to be around people like that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
absolutely.
I don't have any horror stories. Some guys do, but I really don't have any horror stories.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm a co-angler most of the time, and I've really never had a bad boater draw. Like didn't have nobody I never didn't get along with. And
Sure.
it's funny. I had a BFL on I think it's South Holston in Upper East Tennessee, and drew a guy that was a preacher, and we got along good. And I think he caught like a 3 or 4 pound smallmouth, and he brought the boat, and I netted it, and he was through this. Oh man, it's personal best in the tournament ever. And he gave me a big bear hug. And I called the wife after the tournament. I says, "Hey, is it good luck for a preacher to hug you? Because I just got bear hugged by a preacher."
Heck
But
yeah, it is.
it was a fun day though. Oh man, he was grinning ear to ear the rest of the day. But we had a good day, had a lot of fun. So, but
I'll tell you a
I mean,
funny co-angler story I had.
all
Fishing
right,
Kentucky Lake, and this was a year or two after I'd won down there. It's late April, so we're flipping bushes. And we're flipping the same bait. I'd flip right side the bush, center of the bush, left side, no bite. I'd go by it and that guy'd flip in there and that whole bush shake. I,
oh
I,
heck,
I never boated a fish that day. And he had 20 some pounds leading the tournament. Like giant leading the tournament.
wow,
And he'd met me at the motel. So I had to take him back to the motel with me when we left. So we're going back towards the motel. And I'm not mad at him. We're
no,
having fun. I go, dude, you need to stop and buy a lottery ticket. This guy got so mad at me. He goes, you think it's all luck, don't you? I go, no, I ain't saying it's luck. I'm just saying that everything you did today went your way. If I was
yep.
you, I'd buy a lottery ticket. He wouldn't even talk to me the rest of the way home. And he
Oh
was mad,
heck,
mad. That's like, whatever, bud.
wow. What I got a little intense there. I think he's a little intense.
He was a little intense to say the least. So,
Wow, man. I never heard that reaction. Got a
and
couple
I've
quick
got it.
yeah.
Oh,
Let me
go
do a
ahead.
couple quick comments here, get kind of caught up. My buddy Barker Ruger says it works great for finding structure, but it does wonders for learning what the fish are doing behavior wise. He's talking about the Carolina rig.
Yes, sir.
And yep. He says, got to run, Bill. It was great seeing you. Thanks, Barker
Thank,
Rugers.
thank you,
And
sir.
one last comment here. Fish with Jonas says, how's it going? Hey Jonas, how's it going, buddy? But
All good.
all good. It is. It is. Yeah, I've seen a co-angler before. I think it was his first tournament. He had like a Zebco 33. And he asked the boater, "Hey, we're gonna stop for lunch?" And he's like, "We don't stop." And he had like a picnic basket in the ridden the checkerboard cloth out in the back of his boat. And the boater's like, "Well, we're gonna have to run here in a few minutes." After he got it all set up. But I think it was a guy I never fished before. I thought it was kind of funny.
Just hope he
He,
brings enough food for both of you. No
yeah,
stress.
exactly, exactly. Oh man, but yeah, I've had a lot of good experience. I mean, I got guys that I've gotten paired with. We still talk today, and I talk to them once a week. So yeah, it's still good. I hope they don't never go away from the getting the co-anglers, because it's a good experience. And I tell, like you said, the high schoolers and the college guys, hey, if you really want to learn, or if you're wanting to get into tournaments more and you're not sure, go in as a marshal. I mean, you sit back as a marshal, see how behind the scenes works, how the day goes, and that's a good learning experience. You don't have to worry about netting fish. You just sit back, and some boaters talk a lot, some's pretty quiet, but you get to spend the day, just kind of behind the scenes. So if somebody's wanting to you're kind of on the edge, maybe you want to go into tournaments, go in as a marshal at least once or twice, and you'll see, if you really want to go into that or not, you get the real deal experience.
You learn more being a marshal than you do being a co-angler because you're
Exactly.
not worried about fishing. You're just that way you can set and focus. And I'm going to back up here, man. You asked me some of the most memorable times fishing
Yep.
that I've had in tournament. I have to go back to about my son graduated 2000, I guess it was.
Hmm.
So for 2 years after that, he traveled with me
Ah.
and he fished the co-angler side. Now you talk about having a good time. We had some good times.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
we traveled around and Wesley Strader roomed with us during that time. And him and my boy hit it off big time. They were big buddies, but I wouldn't let my boy fish with me.
Yep.
And he got so mad at me. He goes, "Why am I not good enough?" And I go, "You know what I do. I
Yep.
don't want you to get brain dead doing what I do."
Yeah.
I set him up with different guys. He'd fish with Wesley or he'd fish with Jim Tutt or he'd fish with Clark Winlet. I set him up with different guys for him to practice with that he could learn what they do.
Yep.
And it made a big difference. I mean, he was an
Oh yeah.
absolute terror when he come home and started fishing. And
Wow, because he had all those different experiences and learned all the different techniques. That's a great plan.
yeah, so
And
and then I'd call him like, "Hey, what do I need to be doing here?" But help dad out a little bit too. And I mean, not during those tournaments, I wouldn't, but
yeah.
we still fish together a lot at home. So learn a lot of different stuff there. And then, of course, me and my brother, we fished a lot of team tournaments and stuff early on and traveled around. So we had a lot of fun too. So
Oh yeah.
just
And
some
yeah,
of those memories you never forget.
that's what I was saying. And you got all those memories, traveling and seeing all the sights and the lakes. Man, that's great. You can't buy that. Those experiences and memories, you can't buy that.
The
And
rat hole hotels we've stayed in over the years.
yeah, yeah, I've had some and heard some horror stories about those. But we got a fishing with Jonas. He's got a quick question for you. Any
Right.
tips for? He said, any tips for fishing a spot that is clear and very grassy and has lots of structure?
I would fish the edges. You got to find the edges of that grass. If it's long and straight, don't fish it. You want to fish the irregularities on it or the different type of structure that's in that. Then you got to decide, are they on the inside the grass or the outside the grass? Those type of deals there. And even though it's clear, you can still throw a thunder cricket or if not, get something green pumpkin that you can maybe pitch and flip around the edge of that, or got to figure out they're suspended, throw a drop shot in there and just start picking that apart and let the fish tell you how they want to bite that day.
Oh yeah, and you get a pattern going, like you said. If they're on the inside of the grass or outside. So yeah, you get your pattern going, and just duplicate that pattern over and over. That was what Roland Martin way back in the '80s, I think, started that.
Because like I said, if you can figure out how they're set up, then you can just run that pattern and take off and go and catch some fish all day long. And
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I fished with a young guy on Cherokee Lake in Tennessee one time, and it was BFL, so he could use a rig, and he used a rig all day and just tore them up. I think the only thing I get bit behind him, I had a little tiny Balsa 1-inch homemade crankbait, and I got a 2 or 3 smallmouth. But I mean, he caught spots, smallmouth, largemouth, and then he was a young guy. He's maybe in his late 20s, early 30s, and he tried to give me one. I was like, nah, I don't do A-rig, man. You're on the road. Keep going, man. You got a good chance to win. He did. I think he had like 18 in his early spring, but it's funny. Then in the tournament, he was like, I said, man, you feel okay? He's like, yeah, but my arm's about to fall off. And he said it just serious. That was the funny part. But
Yeah,
I
those
was,
A-rigs will kill your shoulders without a doubt.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I've got to throw. Occasionally I'll throw one. I'll throw a little finesse one, and I'll throw it on like a medium heavy rod. And I got lucky at Norris this year on Tennessee, in Tennessee above Knoxville. First tournament of the year, I had jig. I'm like you. I love throwing a jig, and I was getting shorts and shorts. I'm like, dang it. And then we go by this marina, and he has a small limit. And he says, I'm gonna throw this glide bait, see if I can upgrade. So he's throwing that glide, and I just happened to have that A rig. I don't know why I had it tied on that day, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna throw this little mini A rig. And I said, well, you done, there's like between the restaurant, the marina, and the slips, there's a little rectangle cutout. And I said, hey, you done here? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, all right, I'm gonna fish it. So threw it out, and I cranked it down to about 6 and just stopped. I'm like, oh man, I got a dock cable. Then I felt a head shake, and had one fish. I got big fish that day, so made it count.
Yeah, that's what
Sometimes
keeps us coming back.
that's right, man. I mean, you never know. You never know. But that was a pretty cool day. And there was a guy I fished with from like I think it was last year, 24, and I fished with him way back in '09 at a BFL, I think on Loudon Teleco. So that's kind of cool. I said, hey, we fished together before. He's like, oh yeah, we didn't we? So,
Yeah.
but
Heck yeah.
it's amazing, how you run into folks and you say, oh yeah, I remember you from back when. So memory kind of fades a little bit over the years, but good times though, good times.
No
But
doubt.
but what is some of the roughest conditions? You ever fished up like Erie or up in there, have some real rough, waves or 4 or 5 foot rollers on you? What's the roughest conditions you fished in?
Worst one I was probably ever in was at Lake Champlain.
Yep.
We went out up there one time, and they were forecasting 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Ooh.
And that morning it was like slick calm. And we asked Bill Taylor, and Bill Taylor said, boys, don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You're all professionals.
I hear him
So
say
we
that.
take off, and I run across the lake and run over to what they call the inland sea area,
Yep.
and caught them decent. And I mean, it was calm. We were behind a windbreak there, but I could see the trees were getting it.
Ooh.
And I told the guy with me, I said, we're going to start back. He goes, well, we got plenty of time. I said, well, we might. I said, we're going to start back. And I said, we're going to strap everything down. I said, if anything comes loose, just let it go. I said, they make it every day.
Yep.
We come out, and once we got over to the main lake, it was 8 to 10s. It
Oh.
was brutal. But luckily, the way they were coming, I could ride them.
Yeah.
You come up on top and you'd see the whole world. You go down, and there's walls of water. It's all you could see around you. And we made
Wow.
it back in okay. We took
Yep.
some spray. We never speared away or did any of that. But there was guys that, I don't know how many boats were totaled that day. Guys submerged them and just got out of them. Trolling motors ripped off, consoles ripped off. Guys trying to make them long runs to Ticonderoga and all because the wind was
Ooh.
blowing. I can't remember if it was blowing out of the south or the north, but it was 100 miles of straight water rolling down through there.
Ooh.
And I was able to go across them, so I was able to ride up and over and up and over. So that was probably the wildest one. And I got one in St. Clair one time in practice. That's probably the scariest I've ever been.
Oh man,
But
that's
you got to respect it. Wear those life jackets.
yep.
They make great inflatables. I'll wear an inflatable when it's cold out and I'm fishing by myself or whatever. But I always wear a full blown PVD or whatever you call them.
Yep.
Mustang life jacket.
Yep.
The PFD. Buckle it up, strap down, and hang on.
Yeah, well, I'm fishing back in a boat, especially when it's cold. I'll leave mine on. I mean, they're so light and you don't feel them. I
Sure.
just leave mine on. And plus, the boater, when y'all get ready to go, I'm already set. I just got to put my rod in and strap in. I'm good. I'm good to go. So,
And we appreciate that
oh
greatly.
yeah, oh I know. I mean, y'all. I know y'all got a plan B, C, and D. So, Yeah, I tell guys that's just starting out, I say, hey, when a boater tells you within a cast or two, hey, I'm gonna crank up here in about 2 casts. Go ahead and start getting ready. Don't have don't let him wait on you. So that's a
Yeah,
good tip.
time to go. It's time to go.
Exactly. And got a quick comment. Fishing with Jonah says, thanks for the tips. Hey, thanks,
Not a
Jonah.
problem at all.
Good luck, man. I hope that helps out and catch a few for us. But Bill, we got the most difficult question of the night for you. What is your in honor of John and his wife Candace, who's a baker? What is your favorite homemade cookie?
I'm gonna eat. I got two. One's
Okay.
either gonna be just a standard old chocolate chip cookie or a
Yep.
snickerdoodle.
There you go.
I love him snickerdoodles. So
Oh yeah. That's John's favorite for sure. But Bill, we enjoyed having you on, and I want you to, if you want to rep your sponsors or talk to anybody that's helped you over the years, your floor is yours, sir. So go ahead and talk about what you want to. This time is
Sure.
yours.
I got a long list of sponsors, like I said, and I couldn't do it without these people, and about sponsors too, I call them partners,
Yep.
and I like longevity. Like I told you earlier, I'd been with I started with Ranger Boats. I spent almost 30 years there. I've been over at Bass Cat Boats now for 5 years. But Lucas Oil, they've been my title sponsor now. This is going on 18 years. I've been with Lucas Oil. So I mean I can't thank them enough for what they do. Strike King I've been with. This is my 23rd year to
Wow.
be with Strike King. I've been with Lou's since Lynn bought the company when he bought it from Lou's Childers and started back with it. So I've been with them for a number of years. Mercury, Power Pole, Garmin I started with in 1999. I made a 2-year exit from Garmin and then begged to come back and been with them ever since. So kind of got a long history there with those companies there too. Shoot, I'm trying to think now. You got my head spinning. Rapid Fishing Solutions. I've been with them for a long time. Lithium Pros. They're out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Still say the best lithium batteries on the market by far. The Mossback Fish Habitat. Um, Trying to think here. I know I'm missing some. Seaguar.
Yep.
The only link between you and the fish is your line. I bought Seaguar line forever and then ended up signing a deal with them and been, if it goes away tomorrow, I'm still going to go buy Seaguar line. It's that good a line. So those in a nutshell are the major ones without doubt. And I got a brand new one there, the Connectees. It's wiring harnesses. It's 100% clean power. So everybody's got forward facing sonar and you want to see what's going on out there. The best key is to make sure you're getting clean power.
Absolutely.
You got to have great wiring, great connectors to make sure that, you don't have any interference to make those electronics work the best that they can. And then if anybody wants to follow me, it's Bill McDonald Pro Angler on Facebook and then BMAC Fishing on Instagram there. That's where you can find me at.
Outstanding. And guys, give him a like and a follow. I mean, he shared some great tips with us. Now, going out, Bill, we talked a little bit before the show. What are you planning on fishing for the 2025 season?
2025, I'm going to fish one division, that division number 2 of the Bassmaster Opens. I think we start out at Sam Rayburn. And then I'm trying to think. I think we go to Norfolk Lake. Then we go to Kentucky Lake. I might have those two flip back and forth, but I think that's the right direction.
Yep.
And then we'll end up at Leech Lake in Minnesota in August. And then I'm going to fish the Toyota division. Like I said, we go Lake of the Ozarks, Kentucky Lake, and then we'll finish that series up in September back at Lake of the Ozarks. And then championship hopefully at Grand Lake. So, and then I'll fish some local stuff. You'll see me dive in and out of Kentucky Lake here and there. And we'll be doing a bunch of guiding throughout the summer months too, because it's kind of weird. We got from like mid-April to August. I don't have a national tournament at all, so I'm
Right.
going to fish some local stuff around here at home. So I'm going to guide a bunch. So I'll be diving around here and there, and be up on the Great Lakes playing some too. So if anybody wants to learn something, shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I do answer all my messages. So that's not a problem.
There you go, guys. Can't beat that. And got a quick comment. He said, nice. Rude MTZ said nice. So yeah, guys, you look for a good guide trip. There you go. You got your got where you want to go. That sounds like a good schedule, Bill. You got a little time between. You can kind of do what you want to do. So man, that's
Sure.
awesome, man.
And then I'll be at the classic. I'll be at, ICAST. You still got to work. So that's what I'm doing. I'm out there working the whole time. So always making appearances there and trying to represent and promote my sponsors the best that I can out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I said you it's incredible. I mean, some of the sponsors as long as you've had. And I didn't know Lithium Pro is out of Knoxville. I learned something new tonight. So I've heard a
Yep.
lot about them though.
Yeah. Good battery company. I've been with them. I think I've been with them for 10 years now.
Wow.
So, you know, I look for longevity. I don't want one and dones. I want to be there and be able to survive for a long time. So the way I try to set my business up that way.
Oh yeah, and it's products you believe in. Like I said, if you went with Cigar, you still buy it. I mean
Yep.
it's easy to promote products that you believe in and use all the time. That makes it a lot easier.
Well, I've turned down some fairly lucrative sponsors over the years that I didn't believe in their product, and
Yeah,
and and even someone that I could have believed in, I didn't think I could promote them and sell them the right way for them. And I was
right.
honest with them. I said I'd love to have the money, but I don't think I can. You can't get an ROI from me on your investment.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciate you being honest on those type deals too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong, being honest and being upfront. So that, that's
And
that's never a minus.
and one of those companies that I did that with, the guy hires me 2 or 3 times a year to guide him.
Ha! There you
And
go.
it's like,
Kind of went full
you just
circle on that one. Kind of went full
it went
circle.
full circle. So
That's awesome, man. But well, yeah, we'll definitely be following you, Bill, and cheering you on. So tight lines the next season, and I hope you do well and see its championship, so we can cheer you on.
appreciate it, Rob. John, you get feeling better, bud. Check
All
that
right.
bug.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, Bill, I said we really appreciate you having on, and thanks for everybody for commenting and giving us a few questions. And Bill, hope we'll have you on next season as well. We'll have you on after your win. I know you're gonna have a couple wins there, so we'll have you on after your win. So
There we go. I'm all for that one.
all right, buddy. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you, and you take care, and happy, uh, Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and have a blessed season with you and your family, my friend.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, see you, Bill. Have a
See
good
you.
one. All right. Well, guys, that was it for the show, and we'll see you next Monday, and hopefully John will be back with us. And thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing. So y'all have a blessed week, and go fishing if your weather's good enough. Peace out.